Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is episode 110. My name is Evan Lewis, and I'm a little sick, so I might not talk too much tonight. We'll find out. But I've got with me Leo Andre.
Sure do.
Yeah, I do. And Joe Latovsky.
Hey.
Heyo.
Hey.
Ahoy hoy.
Hey. We should say, what is your, family's origin? Is your name, is Latovsky, is that, Polish or,
Czech?
Czech. Yeah, can you do a Czech accent?
Check it out.
I'll tell you what, my entire life I grew up saying, or being told it was Czech, and my grandparents came from, Bohemia, and I'm distantly related to a famous Czech artist, and I had a woman from the Czech Republic over for board games a little while ago because she's friends with my wife, and she's like, I don't think that's a Czech name. I mean, I believe you, but also I guess our whole life is a lie.
You're that guy in the what was it, the 42, or no, that Ancestry.com commercial.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were German, but we're not. We're
so now I've burned all my lederhosen.
Because all of the traditions I developed with my family are suddenly irrelevant, much like my feelings about Star Wars movies when George Lucas came out with new ones. Same thing, right?
What? Oh my.
I'm just saying, it's the same kind of stupidity.
It is.
If you've lived
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
It didn't retroactively change the traditions you've had for 20 generations in your family.
Well, you know who's creating new traditions for 20 generations of our family? Our patrons over at patreon.com/thejodocast.
They're pretty great guys over there, you know.
I don't know what my kids are going to think of when I inform them that they have to carry this on. Because we promised we just promised the patrons 20 generations.
I mean, yeah, they're paying for it. This is a
also,
bloodline podcast.
Also, neither of you guys have kids, so I guess it's going to be my kids and your guys' cats are going to be taking up the
Perfect.
next.
This sounds great. This is a great plan.
And then your kids they get a new guest host, and it's just somebody who's completely unrelated to any of us until, a few episodes in, and you find out that she's one of our granddaughters the whole time.
Yep. That makes the most sense at this point. At this point, anything makes sense, really.
How are you so good at doing this podcast? I don't know.
That's a story for a different day. But what I was trying to get across was just how wonderful the patrons are. Not that they're being suckered into, a decades-long story only to have the rug pulled out for them at the last minute. But the patrons are amazing. They make all this possible. And if you want to find out more about how you, too, can become a patron, because I was recently told that we don't talk enough about our Patreon. Apparently, I thought we did.
By who? By me? I don't think I...
No, by a friend of mine who has been listening to the show, and he did not seem to know that we had a Patreon. So we've got a Patreon. Patreon. I'm a Pokemon. And, if you want to find out about more, my cat's going crazy. If you want to find out more about our Patreon and other things as well, you can go to jodocast.com, find all our social media links for the Patreon, and all of our other things like YouTube videos, and a link to our Discord server where we are all of the time. You can find us on there always. And there goes my cat. The cat jumped. And now, normally, we would talk about what we've been playing. And we're sort of going to do that. We're going to talk about what we've been playing for all of the past year. Another year is in the books. Another year is dead and never to be seen again. And a new year is upon us. So, of course, we have to do our best of the previous year. The previous year this time being 2019. It was an interesting year.
You know what I like about us? I like that we do this in January rather than like the beginning of December when the year isn't over yet, like everybody else. How can you do a year recap when the year's not over yet?
Good question. Sort of like doing a game awards show before the end of the year, so that way games that came out at the end of the year can't be considered for it.
Yeah. Not us. We do this in January, so we have the full hindsight to look back on the entire year with clear vision, and it also has nothing to do with our scheduling issues.
We can look back with 2020 vision.
Aww.
2019 vision.
All right. Well, on those wonderful jokes, we're going to get going. If you've listened to this before, you know how this works. First up is going to be the surprise hit of 2019. Let's start with a Joe.
Okay, my surprise hit, it came up and it hit me and I did not see it coming, is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order by Respawn. It was the game that up until we kind of all got our hands on it, we were all like, eh. And then we were like, oh.
I also chose Jedi Fallen Order because, yeah, if you listen to our review episode, I think we all kind of felt the same way, where I was expecting something somewhere between total garbage and maybe not the worst thing ever was about where my expectations were set, but it far exceeded that. It's I think it's like I said previously, it's the best Star Wars game I think that's come out since best Star Wars video game that's come out since Republic Commando, which is what, 15 years ago, 16 now.
Right, but really, Battlefront and the Force Unleashed are the only games you might be able to compare it to. Because all the other Star Wars games are like Kinect and stuff. But I would agree, it's the best Star Wars game in a long time, maybe ever. For a lot of people, it's the best Star Wars game ever. I feel like if I played it more, I might get closer to that point. There's other Star Wars games that just hold a higher place in my heart, but I loved it. It's really good.
How about you,
Evan? And none of us thought it was going to be. Yeah, Evan.
I gave my surprise hit award also to Star Wars : Jedi : Fallen : Order :
Too many colons.
Yeah.
Wonder how many colons Grease has. He's got 4 arms. He's probably got at least 3 colons.
But yeah, like, of the three of us, I think I was still the most sour on the prospect up until the very last minute.
Yeah, I think you hadn't even bought it until both me and biggest, Joe were like, okay, we've played it, it's good, go get it now.
Yeah, you were being a real Leo about the whole thing.
Well, I mean, it just...
I think if we look back at last year, I was far more pessimistic about you, than you.
About me?
Yes, I was. Oh. No, I said than you.
Oh, than. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was just, have you beaten that Evan guy? He doesn't have a chance.
Have you beaten the game yet, Evan?
Oh no, I've barely played any video games lately. Which, if I'm sick, you'd think that that's what I should be doing, is just laying on the couch playing video games.
A brand new, very good Star Wars video game, you'd think. You know?
You'd think, yeah, that's true.
One would think. One could say.
One could say I should be playing that game, and I intend to. I mean, I didn't like have a big high and then a big drop off from it or anything like that. I just finding time to play video games is difficult for me lately, but I do like it an awful lot, and it did surprise the heck out of me. I thought it was going to be, what did I think it was going to turn out to be? Just a buggy mess with no direction, bad story, bad characters, just every aspect, lowest common denominator, garbage, and it wasn't.
It was a buggy mess, but everything else was phenomenal.
You know, I mean, I still think it varies. I mean, I hit a fair amount of weird bugs, but I don't think it's any more than any other game out there, really.
Mm-hmm. No, I guess
with the exception of I think the going down slides and sometimes the swinging, like those felt like they weren't quite, like they need a little bit more time in the oven. Like I think that's where I hit most of my bugs.
Right, and I feel like I experienced less bugs and more so just things where I'm like, I wish they would have spent another month on this thing.
Yeah. But
where it's not technically a bug, it just could have been polished more.
Yes. Well, and I always go back to like KOTOR 2. Like that was put on a schedule and it had to be out by the schedule, and I think this is the same thing. The publisher said it's got to be out by this date, so make it happen. But the developers themselves did very, very well.
The publisher said, hey, we've got a Star Wars license. Maybe we should actually make some Star Wars games.
I think that's how the meeting went. All right. The next one is the biggest dud of 2019. And this can be according to sales, actual numbers, public opinion, or just our own personal thoughts on the subject. So, Leo, let's start with you.
I guess for me, the biggest dud of this year probably was the Galactic Assault edition for Battlefront 2.
Galactic Supremacy?
Capital. Yeah, there we go. That's what what the fuck is Galactic Assault? Why did I write that?
That's the mode that's been in the game since it launched. The linear mode.
Oh, yeah. No. Capital Supremacy. That's the one I meant. Anyways, yeah, like I thought, like that was like reading the description. I was like, okay, this is more what I want out of the game. Let's give it a shot. I will say it's probably better than other modes, but it's still, it still can't get past the fact that just like everything else about Battlefront 2 is just a total dumpster fire. So there you go. I also put the Old Republic down mostly just because like we made these, like we were going to play, and like I even re-upped my subscription, and then I played for a day and then I never touched it again. So there you go. I guess there's some free money for you, BioWare.
That's so that they can fix Anthem. Apparently, is going to get a second injection of life here shortly. I can go next. Mine is Star Wars Destiny.
See, I want to know. It's because you didn't. Have you even played Destiny in the last year?
So, I tried to pay attention to what was going on with it, but
okay,
everything that I saw, either from what was put up by FFG or talking with folks at the game stores, or checking out what other folks were saying around the internet, it seemed like, and it continues to seem like, there's no longer any issues with production, but now the issue is really just with interest in the game. Like, they're doing more interesting things from what I've seen in, like, the releases from FFG, but I don't think there's there's no longer any big interest in the game, and I think it's it's already petering out. Like, I think its lifespan has an end date on it at this point.
I'll say that its lifespan, it's gonna go longer than the LCG. I'll tell you that. I'm just honestly, I see, there's still like at my game store, there's still regular weekly events,
Mm-hmm.
When, you couldn't get anybody to play the LCG. Frankly, the thing I was really hoping for, especially when they, they made the Lord of the Rings digital edition, then they announced a Game of Thrones digital edition. I was hoping to someday see a Destiny digital version, but as we all know, the Fantasy Flight Interactive just got closed down the other day. So I guess that's probably never going to happen. I mean,
yep.
Well, there's always a chance that they continue that development, but shuffle it over to Asmodee Digital. I mean, like, that's who's, like that Mansions of Madness game that they announced a while ago. That's still being made, because that's being made by Asmodee Digital, not Fantasy Flight Interactive.
Right.
So, who knows? I mean, I guess it could still happen, but it's just storing all those dice, and then when you want to build a deck, sorting through your dice and finding your dice that's like the least pleasurable thing about it for me. I think playing the game itself is actually fun, and they keep adding more new interesting mechanics. I think it's just, I just got tired of trying to find more boxes to store all the dice in. So I stopped.
Yeah, like a lot of my opinion is formed from the local area, and they can't give away the packs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just it moves every bit as poorly as Keyforge, which is another game that I'd say that's a fun game. Nobody around here wants it.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. There's, every local area is a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Like around here for a while, Keyforge was wild, and now I don't think anybody buys it at all anymore. But people are still playing Destiny, so there you go.
Yeah.
Joe, speak.
Well, my biggest dud. I kind of want to give a shout out to the Fantasy Flight Games role-playing game department being everybody fired as the biggest dud, because that's...
Yeah.
I still can't...
That happened in 2020. That happened in 2020.
Oh, that did happen in 2020, so that doesn't count.
Save that for next year. Make a note.
Yeah.
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 This is a proactive edition of the best of.
Biggest dud of 2020. So my biggest dud of the year is going to go to Galaxy's Edge Dejarik, aka Hollow Chess, which I am so excited to have in my collection. Like, I love it so much. And it's also my biggest dud because as a game, it's not fun, and I did a video review of it on our YouTube channel and a how to play video. So if you have it or thinking about getting it, you can see how it plays. I think it sucks as a game. Like, I have a different game that I actually feel similar. It's called Swords and Strongholds. It's the comic Mouse Guard. In the comic, you see these mice playing a little, like, kind of chessboard type game. And then, like, a couple years later, they decided, oh, hey, let's make this into a real product people can buy and play. And it's the same situation where the artwork for this game was just something that would look cool in the universe. And now they have to take how that looks and design backwards, starting with the finished, components to get a game that works. And I think that game's actually pretty fun and it accomplished that. This game it's not fun, but it's still really pretty and I love it. But as a game, you're not going to be buying it because you want a cool new strategy board game. That's my biggest dud. I'm really happy I have it and I love it, but it's not something I need to ever put on the table to actually play. But and I said in my review, maybe if you and one other person played it for like years, then maybe it's a good game. I guess maybe it's kind of like chess in that regard, but
I don't know. I think chess can be fun after, like a game.
Yeah. But like if you've never, because a big part of Dejarik is getting your head around a lot of the specific, the piece-specific movement. I don't know. That's my biggest dud. Go watch my review if you want to know more about it.
All right. Now we're moving on to which game did we miss out on? Personally, this is just each of us. Which one did we feel like we missed out on, we would have liked to have done more of? I will go first on this one, and it's pretty much all of the 2019 content for Battlefront 2, because I was pretty excited about the things that they were offering, a lot of quality of life updates that I'd heard about, and all that Clone Wars content that they were bringing out. And I just didn't put any effort into getting to experience it. And I don't feel like I am less for not having played it, but it was stuff it was stuff that I was interested in, and they always do a good job of making me say, oh, that looks good, I should get back on board, and then I'll have a couple of good rounds and say, hey, okay, this is going pretty well, and then it'll just turn into me cussing for an hour straight, and then I'll quit. I didn't even get that whole, the whole gamut experience.
I think everything that came out in that game this year was good.
Yeah, it certainly looked good.
One of us is wrong.
Well, what else did you miss out on, Joe? Since you certainly did not miss out on Battlefront 2.
I am going to pick the Smuggler's Run thing at Galaxy's Edge, because can we call that a game? I mean, I guess you'd call it a ride, but, you sit in it's basically a VR game, because it's responding to your input, so I would call that a game, not a ride. So that's my pick. Runner-up is X-Wing. I played very little X-Wing in 2019, even though I still think it's a very cool game. I just haven't played that in a long time.
Well, we've got at least a patron here joining us in patron chat, which is a thing that patrons get to do because they're so damn cool. And they agree that Battlefront 2 is much better than it was at launch. So more positivity for Battlefront 2. He is shocked to be able to say that.
As shocked as I am to say it, LOL. I will dramatically read his text. That doesn't mean I'm at all that likely to play it still. But it's better. So he says.
So say we all.
Yeah, if you are a patron, that's one of the little things you get to do. You get to listen to us while we record, unedited, so you can hear us say things like, I want to lick Claude from Rise of Skywalker. And things that don't make it into the full episode, like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm turning the tables. Usually the patrons in our chat post things while we're recording that kind of make us not want to see the chat. But now I can turn the tables a little bit, making them gag.
I wonder if Diego Luna wanted to touch Claude.
No.
There's the texture I must discover.
Okay, Leo, what did you miss out on?
I missed out on drafting the Star Wars CCG at Gen Con, since I didn't get to go to Gen Con this year.
Oh.
I had a ton of fun doing that the previous year, and I wish I could have went back and played in the cube draft that they do there every year. Or I don't know how often they do it. They did it the year we went, and they were doing it again this year.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, it's every year, because these are the only 2 years I've paid attention. But yeah, last time we went, it was a lot of fun. It was very nostalgic to just sit down with a bunch of other people. It was like 50% were people who still play the game hardcore, and they knew what they were doing when they were drafting, and they kind of kicked everyone's asses. But then half the people were still like, what does this word on the card mean again? How does this rule work again? I haven't played this game since I was in middle school. And but everyone had a lot of fun, and I thought it was great that there was just all these different skill levels and experience and stuff like that there.
And it was a small enough crowd that we were pretty much able to just talk with everybody. It was maybe, 10 people?
Yeah, 10 or a dozen of us or so, I forget. Something like that, yeah.
I guess I could say that I missed out on playing Star Wars LCG at Gen Con this year. Since it wasn't there. It's dead. All right. Well, enough with the tears. Let's get on to our Rookie of the Year. And that can be either a game that came out this year or saw most of its play during the calendar year.
Rosenbagger. Gardenhoser. As a reference to the movie Rookie of the Year. Anybody remember that movie?
I remember it. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, about the kid who breaks his arm, and then when it heals, it's like
unless
a rocket.
Unless you're saying pitchers got a big butt, or maybe funky butt loving, or
funky butt loving,
or maybe the bit where he's all like, I came up with the new invention, hot ice. You take some people like heat for their pain, some people like cold, so I take the ice and I heat it up, hot ice. That's.
You're right. You did have a lot better references than me.
Wow. I'm supposed to be the reference guy, and y'all just put me to shame on Rookie of the Year. Well, I don't know what else I can say. Except I can say, hey, Joe, what's your Rookie of the Year?
Don't make it bad. My Rookie of the Year is Star Wars Outer Rim, the board game.
Ooh.
Because that came out in 2019, and it really exceeded all my expectations after playing it a lot. I really like it.
I really want to play that game.
I feel like we collectively on air have not really talked about it a whole lot, but I think on the Discord there's been a lot of good chatter about it.
Oh yeah, and we have a video, like a full game session video on our YouTube, which I think is phenomenal. I didn't edit it. Our friend Kurt edited it, and it's so well done. I really like it. So you could, next time you're thinking of watching a movie, you could just spend an hour and a half watching that. It's long, but it's really well done. The game is really fun, and we should talk about it more. You guys should go play it so we can talk about what we'd want from an expansion or whatever.
Okay, Leo, what's yours?
I guess I chose Jedi Fallen Order. I wouldn't be surprised if I had a chance to play Outer Rim. I wouldn't be surprised if I had chose that also.
Mm-hmm.
But that's life, I guess. So, Jedi Fallen Order. For all the reasons we just talked about at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. For me, it would either be Fallen Order. It's such a surprise, and yet came in right at the end of the year. So as far as we're concerned, it's eligible. The only other thing that I could really think of that was an impressive new release or like a new expansion, like a big media expansion for a game, was the Clone Wars starter set for a core set for Legion. Because it does a lot. Although I want to say that Legion's been doing a lot through this entire year to really expand itself. And, Clone Wars was a huge jump forward. We've talked about it a lot, about the quality of the miniatures, even just in the soft plastic, and then the hard plastic droids, and just everything that they're trying to do moving forward, which I don't think is going to see any slowdown, just despite what's happened to the other departments. But I think Fallen Order is definitely a good selection for Rookie of the Year. As far as most improved game, and that's games released in previous years that saw a dramatic change for the better. Let's start with Leo.
I said X-Wing 2.0 because this year saw Republic and those other guys factions come out. The Confederacy. There we go.
Oh, yes.
I always feel weird calling them the Confederacy because then I start thinking of, Robert E. Lee and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Separatists. Mm-hmm. And they're pretty cool. All except for Nantex fighters. They can, go themselves.
Which ones are those?
Those are the Geonosian fighters, the ones that sort of look like needles with like a bubble on one end for a cockpit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That Dooku had?
They look like Dooku ship, yeah. Or
okay.
I think you see them, some of them escorting Dooku's like speeder in Attack of the Clones when he's like riding on his speeder bike.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
To get to where his ship is and stuff. Anyways, they've got this tractor beaming ability, and I hate it. when you face a whole swarm of them, it's very uncool.
Mm-hmm.
They just because they can use their tractor beam to maneuver themselves, and also to pull you around so they can line up shots and stuff like that and pick up your shots and do all kinds of crazy with their tractor beams. And I've just got my ass stomped a few times with those. But I will say I've been playing Republic now as like my primary faction, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Looking forward to the LAT, the LAAT, which was just announced today when that comes out.
Well, and they announced another new, I can't say CIS because that means something else. separatist. Yeah, separatist ship. The one that we saw flying around in Mandalorian, blowing up his little town.
Yeah, that was called like the HMP, I believe is.
Oh. It's got like a skull on the front, kind of. Where it looks like a skull face. Anyways, moving on from that. Mine, oh boy, I just saw what I wrote here. Most improved for me was Fantasy Flight's Star Wars RPG line. And I said that because most of their releases this past year were the either era source books, or I don't want to call them like the not line specific, so not Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, Force and Destiny specific books. They were for the whole gamut of Star Wars RPG. So we got like the two Clone Wars era books, the Allies and Adversaries. I think was it like Vehicles and Gadgets or whatever that had Jyn Erso on the cover. I think that
those
came out.
Those like ones that are independent of the three main lines are the ones that I'm most ravenous to get, because I only own the Edge of the Empire core book and the Bounty Hunter source book and the Game Master kit, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I don't play enough to need anything else, because those books are expensive. But those ones, I'm like, I really want that on my shelf.
Yes. And so, yeah, like I in fact, I had to double check to make sure what year they came out, if it was 2018, 2019. And like the first one, the one with Kanan on the cover, came out in 18, but all the rest of them were 2019 releases. And I was just like, yes, this is what we need going forward. They're all going to be like this. This is terrific. Give us more era-specific stuff.
Didn't one of them introduce the Harch as a species, the spider people? I want that.
Oh, like
Admiral Trench?
Admiral Trench, yes. Well, it was probably the Rise of the Separatist book.
Probably.
Which I picked up.
They're very cool. Yeah. And we'll see if that's the end of all that stuff.
Yeah. Now that, along with, I think, earlier we mentioned Fantasy Flight Interactive was gone, if you weren't aware. Also, they, as far as we know, they basically got rid of their entire role-playing development group. So we don't know what the future of their role-playing games
not to be alarmist
at this point.
But
be alarmist.
Here's some alarmism for you guys. So the people who aren't interested in the RPG can still feel afraid for their things that they love. A lot of times when talking with the designers of like Imperial Assault or X-Wing or Legion, they mention all the time how if they're not quite sure about something like in the lore, they'll go talk to the RPG guys, and that's where they're like, oh yeah, use this character, or maybe this ship would be a good one. So now that resource is gone. Even if they continue the RPG lines, like outsourcing them to different companies, the people designing Legion and stuff aren't going to be able to just walk into the other room and go, hey guys, I got a question about Star Wars. So there's that.
That makes me so mad. That whole thing. And I just started buying. I started buying more of the L5R books too.
Right, and that looked like it was taking off, and the Keyforge thing was happening, and the Genesis was seemed like people were digging that. And, and besides, just the Star Wars role-playing game, just as a cultural artifact, is like one of the legacy of Star Wars RPGs, because the Star Wars role-playing games from Western Games were like the things that kept Star Wars alive when there was no Star Wars. So there's kind of, an inherited legacy of being a Star Wars role-playing game, and now it's just weird that someone can have a license for that and maybe not make it.
We'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that'll be Maz Kanata voice. A good episode for another time.
Yeah. So on that happy note, let's move on and pick our game of the year. We only you did most. I didn't do a most improved. Oh yeah, you didn't do your most improved.
It'll be quick.
I read what you're gonna say, and I don't want to hear it.
Battlefront 2. What happened in 2019? I think Anakin and Dooku came out, and they added the new game mode, which is actually really cool. And they added
all the stuff that I missed out on.
Right, and they added an ass load of, before there was you get the default skin for the clone troopers, and now there's what do I do with all these clone trooper skins? And there's skins for they added droidicas and commando droids and Sith troopers and First Order jet troopers that you can actually hover in the air, and new appearances for Finn and Kylo and Rey, and a new map and another new map, Felucia, which is super pretty.
Telling me that they fly now.
They fly now. Even though they've always flown, they fly now.
Yes. Now.
What else did they added? The Republic Commando. And he's got his little wrist knife that goes chink. And an ARC Trooper, and just lots of goodies. They finally gave Luke more appearances. They gave him his yellow jacket and his farm boy.
Ooh.
It's... I would see... posts on Reddit from Battlefield where people are like, DICE doesn't care about our game. They only care about Battlefront. In any case... Battlefront got a lot of love in 2019.
It did. Okay. Now, Leo, if you would like to usher us into Game of the Year since you were so eager.
Okay. Here comes our Game of the Year.
Is that our Game of the Year music? Or was that music used for something else? I forget.
I don't know. Are we gonna... Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Right. Game of the Year, Evan. Go.
Oh,
crap. I'm the only one that didn't put anything down in the notes.
Okay, I'll go.
You wiener.
Joe.
It was a huge... I stayed up nights. I lost sleep and friends over this decision. I couldn't decide between Jedi Fallen Order and Outer Rim, and I decided to go with Outer Rim because I probably put a lot of hours in Fallen Order, and it did a lot of really cool things that really pushed all the right buttons for me. But Outer Rim, I've had so much fun playing because it's just such a wacky Star Wars story every time. Like the time Han waltzes into a ship and just shoots Chewbacca in the face to claim the bounty and he wins. Or the time Greedo keeps punching Bosk in the dick. Like, this... It's a really... I really like Outer Rim, and that's my Game of the Year.
I also, I thought about this for a while because,
No, you didn't.
Jedi Fallen Order, like I said, that was really surprising to me. Like, I enjoyed that game way more than I thought I would. I mean, warts and all. I mean, I still enjoyed that game a lot. And then there's, like I was saying before, I think the adding the Republic and the Separatist factions into X-Wing have really added a lot to that game too. But at the end, it came down, and I decided to go with the Decipher Star Wars CCG. It just had a really strong showing again this year.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, as much as I like those other games, they're just still not as good as the CCG. So, sorry, other games.
To be fair,
To be fair,
it is the only game that features Jodo Cast.
It's, what you mean?
Well, the only tabletop game.
Yeah, I was gonna say besides Terrace Kasai,
Masters of Terrace Kasai and Star Wars CCG have the illustrious distinction of being the only games that feature Jodo Cast.
Well, you know what other game would have if it had been given just a smidge more time?
No.
The LCG. The LCG. If you think about it, if any other game was going to, it would have been that one.
Nope.
I don't think, because, maybe before the Disney acquisition, because they were pulling all kinds of crazy from like the video games and stuff.
Yes, they were.
Then, but after the Disney acquisition, that all stopped.
Right. At the end of its life, it was only canon stuff, which was really cool because I'm like, oh, I got a card for Chopper and Hera and Callus and all this stuff, and that was fun. And that's one of the things I like about getting that TV show stuff into the games is I just like to picture like the old hobby gamers who haven't watched anything besides Empire Strikes Back for the last 40 years, like being like, what is this? And then somebody's like, well, it's from the TV show. You should watch it. And then I don't know where the story ends, but
it ends with them, screaming about Disney.
Yeah.
Killing their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
But now we can thank J.J. Abrams for that.
For killing our adulthood. Yes, let's all start a whole movement that lasts 30 years. And we can't let go of it. And it defines us to our cores. Just nothing but negativity. I think that's a good way. If history has taught us anything, that's a winning strategy.
Are you talking about my life? Nothing but negativity.
I mean, if Disney's done one thing right, they haven't had Troy Denning write any books.
I have a new headcanon for you, Leo.
Okay.
Because I don't know a whole lot about your upbringing. I like to think now that you were... So this is part of the new JodoCast canon. Leo was the most positive person ever. And then just one day he woke up, he's like, you know what? Let's try something different. And then that stuck.
Okay.
That's it. Or maybe like he got wet socks one day and he was like, oh. And then everything went downhill from there.
Yeah, it's not even like anything really tragic or traumatic. It's just like I stepped in a puddle, like the little the water cup dispenser thing that you put your cup in the fridge. Like it dribbled some water on the floor, and I stepped in it. And
it was one day where there was a series of mildly inconvenient events. Like you went to the vending machine and the thing got stuck in the screws, and you didn't get your candy bar and.
So, no, I did get my candy bar. I just had to shake the vending machine a little bit, and so it was only mildly inconveniencing.
So it's not even like Lemony Snicket level things, but it's like if the director of Joker was going to do Leo's life story, it'd just be like, damn it, damn it, just a whole day's worth of damn it.
A pebble in his shoe for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, as long as we're talking about me and my negativity and anger issues, so I got home from Rise of Skywalker, right? And I was so upset and angry, I couldn't sleep. I had to drink a bunch of scotch to get myself to fall asleep, just until I was drunk enough to go to bed. But I tried to play some games as an outlet for my anger, and I broke my mouse.
By clicking too hard?
No, by slamming it against my desk in anger.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot.
It's yeah.
Wow.
I had to. So yeah, I had to. So yeah, although I am using a brand new mouse at this very moment, so that's nice.
I mean, that's everything happens for a reason, and that happened so you could get a new mouse that you needed.
The Rage of Skywalker. Yes.
I also remind me when we're done. I should cancel the life-size cardboard cutout of Claude I was having shipped to your house.
He got that for you so that your kids can have their senior pictures.
I'll tell you my favorite tidbit of the whole you feeling bad about that movie was when you said it was your son's favorite. That was a real cherry on the whole.
And he actually did. He the other day I was talking I was talking with a friend of mine. We were kind of complaining about the movie to each other. Okay, and also for listeners, I should say I have calmed down. Okay, it's I know that it's just a movie, and yes, breaking my mouse was a bit of an overreaction. I understand that. So there's that. But yeah, I was complaining to me and a friend were just talking about the movie and kind of complaining about it. My son sort of overheard us a little bit, and then he's all like, "That's my favorite one, Dad." like he was like very worried about admitting that to me, and it's like, no. I know, that's fine. I'm honestly, I'm happy that he likes it.
Right. Well, it's good when people.
The 9-year-old kid, who's my son, he's the guy that the movie was really made for, not for me. So,
right.
My anger really means nothing in the grand scheme.
My friend was talking to me about it, and he said someone described the movie to him as a 12-year-old's fever dream. And then I'm like, oh yeah. I mean,
he thought it was great. And you know what? Maybe it's not so much that Star Wars has changed. Maybe it's just me that's changed. And I'm just going to have to accept that.
Well, George was very explicit a number of times that these movies are not made for adults.
Yep.
Even though they kind of are, but they're not, and that's okay. And Evan, you got a game of the year?
Yes, I do. I would say that the game of the year is making Baby Yoda memes, but I did not participate in that myself. I just enjoyed them. My game of the year is Star Wars Legion. I have just one of the reasons why I don't have as much time for video games is because I spend more time building miniatures and painting miniatures and buying miniatures and making sure that I get a chance to play more miniatures. So that's why. And honestly,
take that, video games.
Yes. So and honestly, Legion is a big reason why I'm doing this stuff at all, because I do lots of other ones too, but Legion and Imperial Assault are the two that really got me going. So there, and yeah, this whole past year has been my miniature painting year, and yeah, I got plenty of stormtroopers and rebel troops and scouts and commandos and commanders. And I've got an ATST waiting to get put together. And I'm going to buy another General Veers and cut him in half and glue him to the top of the ATST so he looks like...
he's popping out the hatch?
Yeah, coming out the hatch like Wise.
Ooh, you could magnetize it so you could swap out the dude and the hatch if you feel like it.
That would be a good practice for magnetizing, because I tried to do that on some Astra Militarum, and that did not end well for those minis or for my bloody fingers.
And now your fingers stick to metal.
magnetic. Yes, I have the proportionate strengths and abilities of a human magnet.
You know, that's a thing people actually
do. It
is.
They
implant magnets just in their fingertips, like just beneath their skin. Like I've heard electricians can do that, and then they can actually they can put their fingers near a wire and tell if it's live or not with the magnets.
I thought people just did it because it's just like an extra sense they can get.
I mean, it is somewhat, but I mean, there is practical applications for it too.
So you know what, Evan, your tragic accident might have some benefits if you become an electrician.
There you go. It just like what was it? Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Tragic accident becomes superpower. All right, so that's Games of the Years, and I wanted to go back and look at some of our predictions and resolutions that we had at the end of last year's show, and see which of those came true, and then we'll talk about some of the highlights and resolutions predictions. Well, okay, wait. So, highlights from the past year from our listeners and patrons, and then some of our predictions, resolutions for the coming year. Big chunks. Yes? Yes. Okay. Leo had some predictions and resolutions from 2019.
So yeah, well, my first one didn't age well. I said EA makes a new video game finally, which they hadn't been doing for how long. And I said it would end up sucking, which it turns out it didn't. So that's good on you guys for managing to, it only took you when they get the license, 2013?
I think so.
Yeah.
Only took them 6 years to finally turn out something that wasn't dog. I also said that the Separatists would be cooler than the Republic and Legion. Thus far, that is true. Of course, it's only core set units and Rex and Dooku. So, but yeah, so far, I think the droids are more interesting to play, mostly because I find their commanders more interesting. Grievous is a beast. And I also, my resolution was to paint more. I think I succeeded in that. I didn't paint a ton, but I definitely painted more than I did in 2018. That's for sure.
My last year's predictions and resolutions don't seem to have been recorded on writing, so we'll skip it. Go listen fair. To last year's episode if you really want to know. I guess. I forgot to do that this morning.
That's all right. My resolution was to learn to love another Star Wars tabletop game because I had put a lot of time and money into the LCG, and that was my favorite.
Rest in peace.
Indeed. And recipes, yes.
F.
I Oh, patron chat.
I will do some more dramatic readings from the patron chat who are listening in. Look, we get it on the LCG. Move on.
And at this point, I finished painting all of the Wave 1 Imperial Assault. So I did that, and I enjoyed that. And I'm playing tons of Legion, like I said earlier. So, yeah. I like Legion a lot. There you go. And I tried to like Destiny, and that didn't happen. But I like Legion. So, hooray! I did that. My predictions, more bad EA games. No, they managed to pull out a good one.
There were bad EA games. Just your prediction just says bad EA games, not bad Star Wars games. I guess my prediction also didn't say a new Star Wars video game.
No, it didn't.
Just said a new video game.
They did.
I feel like
so.
Okay. Yeah, this is the whole Nostradamus thing where you go, technically, if you read it like this, it was completely
if you read
accurate.
It backwards. I said there's going to be more fan complaints about Destiny's prize support. I don't even know. I stopped listening. More and more X-Wing and Legion units. Well, yes, that's true, but no.
That was a pretty safe. But
it goes with no new Imperial Assault or Armada. Armada got new stuff. Right. Yes.
Super new stuff. New stuff that was actually like canon breaking stuff. Like the official look of the New Republic Starhawk.
Would you say canon making rather than canon breaking?
Yeah. I meant more like canon shaking. Like people who are into canon like go, oh, look. This is a game I didn't know existed, but now I know because it's introducing things to the canon, so yeah.
Or canon baking, where we're actually seeing things being cooked for the first time.
Yeah.
2020 predictions and resolutions. I guess I can start.
Yeah.
So my predictions for the year 2020, which is just going to be just a great year all around in every aspect of life. Just it's going great already. We're already 8 days in. It's nothing bad's happened. Fallen Order will get DLC or a sequel announced. That's my first prediction. Fallen Order is going to get either DLC or a sequel announced in 2020. My other prediction is I'm going to get my ass kicked at Legion Worlds in March. My resolutions are to produce more video content. I actually, for the first time since we've been making videos, have a legit, real, nice camera now. So hopefully I can put that thing to good use. And sort of spontaneously the other day, a whole RPG thing popped up on our Discord that I am sort of managing, and if you are interested in the RPG, feel free to join our Discord, because what it is essentially playing the role-playing game over Discord chat, but the gist is all the people are part of like a crew who live at this little outpost, and whenever we play, you don't have to come play. You can play as much or as little as you want, and if you don't show up to play, your character just doesn't go on the mission, and he stays back at the base, and that's fine. And anybody who wants to can also be the GM for different sessions. It's very going to be very collaborative and freeform, and everything's going to be kind of like a one-off mission, but so no huge overarching campaign, maybe, unless I change my mind. But you want a GM, you can cook up a mission and GM it, and everyone will bring their characters on board, and so it sounds really exciting. We have yet to have our first session, so we'll see how it goes. But we've already got.
Everyone's having a lot of fun in the RP channel.
Yeah, we made a new text channel
as their characters.
We have 8 people who have created characters for this already. So we'll see how many show up for each mission. The gist is JodoCast runs an outpost called the Jodo Dojo, and he's he's kind of the guy who's finding the contracts for these people who work for him, whether they're bounty hunters or smugglers or whatever. So he'll show up and be like, okay guys, got a new mission for you. You go do it, come back. You get money. JodoCast gets money because he's the one who brokered the whole thing. And that's what the RP channel on our Discord is just the downtime between missions. But so far, people are into it. It's fun, and we'll see if it really takes off. Because I think it sounds kind of neat that there's zero commitment required for our role-playing game thing, which is not the norm for role-playing games. So that's me for 2020.
I will go next. My prediction, I will not steal from Leo because he has his written down, but I think it's a good one. My prediction is that we will... Oh boy.
Whatever you predict, you should write down also in here so we can find it for next year's
Aha!
recap.
You're right. I guess I gotta say that we may see how do I even put it? A restructuring of the Star Wars RPG line. But
to be reorganized.
Yeah. But the plastic-based games will certainly continue unabated. I'll do you one that I'll certainly get. More garbage mobile games. Garbage Star Wars movie. I think it's been long enough that we will see more popping up. And I don't mean like Puzzle Quest, Rise of Skywalker. It's going to be, another attempt like that FAW RPG one or the arena thing. So I think we're going to get more like that. Or it's going to be like a Clash of Clans style of Star Wars game.
They've already got one of those.
Yeah,
which one's that?
Star Wars Commander.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Like that.
That's what that was? That's still a thing? That's still around?
I think so.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
Patron chat predicts Masters of Terras Kasai 2. I like this prediction. I dig it. I would buy
Return of the Cast. You thought he was dead. Wait, you didn't think you don't even know who he is? And he's back.
Well, hey, he's only dead in legends now. His death was a legend.
So was his existence.
Yeah, I can't do any like hopeful predictions. Just hopefully things stay alive at this point.
Resolve a thing, Evan.
Oh, resolve a thing? I'm going to resolve to paint some guys something other than default colors. Because that's my MO right now, is that I have to get my painting templates like 100% accurate.
What if there is no accurate look, like for a Rebel Trooper?
I go by what's on the FFG website.
Okay.
Or the box art.
So be more creative is the goal.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I did Space Wolf colors for one.
So you've already met your goal.
But I don't know if that was necessarily creative. That was just like, oh, there's another color scheme, I'll just do that. Instead of, I need to come up with something myself. Oh, wait, I know. Here's a resolution for you. I'll finish Fallen Order.
That's a good one.
Oh, and actually, the friend that I was teaching to play Legion the other night, he wants me to be playing some X-Wing as well. So maybe I'll be playing some X-Wing pretty soon. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Patron chat just offered you some suggestions. We've got
there's always the beach troopers,
the beach troopers, the pork troopers, and the shadow troopers.
Hey! Now show him your ATSD. Give him some ideas for his ATSD.
Oh, this is.
Yeah, there it is.
You gotta tell people what it is.
It's ATSD-chan.
Yeah, I think.
Which
I believe we've.
I don't know if we talked about it on the show. We've talked about it on Discord. That was almost the name of it, because I guess your gaming group.
Holy, does that Palpatine have a pimp hat on?
He sure does.
And a cane.
The Vader has a sword. That's Crusader Vader. I think those scouts are Boy Scouts with the blue jeans and the brown shirts, and I really like his Luke. I don't think he's in this picture. His Luke just looks like a guy in like a button-up and jeans. And the ones that makes everybody just kind of shut down and leave.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
And won't be mentioned on there.
Nope.
So there's your inspiration.
Great. Just what I needed to kick off the new year. Okay, Leo, you're up.
Okay. Where were we? Oh, yes. Okay, my prediction is that EA is going to rush out Jedi Fallen Order 2, and they're going to find a way to cram some microtransactions in it this time. As a resolution, I don't know. I mean, I do everything pretty perfectly already, so...
Excuse me.
I resolved to actually make a video this year.
Oh, I was gonna give you that one if you didn't say it yourself.
A video.
I'll take it. Can we specify a Legion video of a full
He said a
game?
Video. Nope.
10 seconds long.
Because we've already decided what his videos are going to be.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, I've already done that. I recorded a video of me making a Babu Frick impersonation.
It's not on our YouTube channel.
Posted it on Discord. So, there. Video made. I'm good.
Well... At least give the
I've now
boys and girls at home your Babu Frick impression.
I've won 2020. Nope. They gotta join the Discord and then search through old messages to find it. If you want to hear my Babu Frick impersonation, join our Discord.
But the channel you posted it in isn't even going to be around after a couple weeks from now.
Oh.
But along those same lines,
hurry and join now.
While the Rise of Skywalker spoiler channel lasts, supplies of Skywalker.
But speaking of producing more content, I have been wanting to do more painting hangouts or painting videos. So that's a resolution for me, is to finally make that happen.
Nice. I endorse this.
I should make painting videos where I just beat the bejesus out of my brushes. It's a Bob Ross joke.
Yeah, does he say bejesus? Doesn't he say beat the devil out of it?
He says both.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes he says that he beats the devil out of it. Sometimes he says beats the bejesus out of it, or just beats the heck out of it.
You could set up exact Bob Ross set up with the easel and have a blank canvas, and then have your mini stuck to the canvas. So as you're painting this,
and I was saying let's.
Oh,
yeah. So that's us. Let's see what some of our patrons.
Right, we did get some
thought that 2020 is going to hold for us.
Yeah, we asked our patrons to give us their 2019 highlights for Star Wars gaming, their predictions and resolutions for next year. This is when you have to read usernames out loud, you realize you've never figured out how to pronounce it. Old Ollie?
I think it's Old Ollie.
All right. So, like the Game of Thrones characters, had he not died like a bitch?
Yeah.
Grown up.
Had he not been a motherfucker.
He says...
sorry, Old Ollie.
He says, lots of fun Star Wars gaming moments from this year. I don't know what voice to use for this. I can't use my own voice.
Oh, this is okay. Yeah, no, this is also his 2019 highlights,
right?
And predictions.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So there we go. Yeah.
So finally getting a small group for Imperial Assault Skirmish, getting a lot of support rallied for a dear friend of mine who returned from his 4th tour of Afghanistan. The Imperial Assault community sent me a ton of swag to give him upon his return. That's amazing. Played a lot of Destiny in early 2019 and loved it, and then it died.
Yeah, so suck it, Evan. Oh, no, I was spoken.
Then sadly it died for my local group, but played the hell out of Outer Rim over the summer. Good. Okay, future hopes. of finding or starting an RPG group and for Star Wars and getting more Imperial Assault in. Thanks, JodoCast community, for always being so welcoming and helpful and very entertaining. Thank you, old Dolly.
He was thanking the community. He didn't say we were helpful.
Oh, he did say thanks.
Anyway,
we're a little bit a part of the community. But if you're looking to start an RPG group, we do have that Discord thing I just talked about, which, I mean, it's different. Obviously, if you can get a in-person group, do that, because it's really fun.
Let's see. The Beard 1808 says that he had a blast of Star Wars games this year. He TO'd for a Destiny Regional, and that was an early highlight, but his favorite gaming memory was going to Destiny Worlds in October, and that was some of the most fun Star Wars gaming I've ever had. Got to meet a lot of people who he only knew from Discords, and yeah. Now I'm kind of sad thinking about Worlds. And how cool it used to be when they had all the games together. I get the space and the time, but it still makes me sad that it doesn't work out to have them all together.
We'll revive that spirit once we have enough resources to make JodoCon happen.
Okay.
What else is
we'll have the Beard. We're going to tap you to TO our Destiny extravaganza at JodoCon. So thanks. Okay, let's see. He also started painting clones for Legion, which has been a great challenge because painting miniatures is a new experience, but he is loving it. No. Another big thing for me in tabletop gaming has been Outer Rim. I've only played with my wife so far, but she seems to like it. Overall, it feels like a fresh new board game, and each time we play, it plays out a little differently.
Like Black Chrysanthemum is really not cool with unemployment. If you meet him and you don't have a job, he'll try and kill you. That's how it is.
He's like a Republican. Got it.
Ew, zing.
Let's see. Fallen Order was an amazing Star Wars. We're still going on with the Beard here. Yeah. Fallen Order was an amazing Star Wars video game experience. It's crazy how long it took to get a great single-player Star Wars game since EA took over. In other video game memories, Battlefront 2 continues to make up for its release debacle. Wrong. And I've had a great time playing it, especially when I could get online with Joe and Kurt. Predictions. He predicts that Destiny hangs on for at least one more trilogy of sets. And we'll get some sort of announcement of some kind of new video game. Let's see. And he resolves that this year he would love to get to Destiny Worlds again, though this will be more difficult since it's invite only this year. And there's only going to be 2 qualifying events within driving distance. He would also like to paint more Legion Clone Wars, with General Kenobi likely being his biggest challenge. And he says, thanks to the JodoCast for being a constant experience in my Star Wars life. I look forward to 2020. Hey, the Beard, thanks for actually thanking us and not just the community.
we really need that direct validation.
That's one of our love languages.
Andy says, I had a lot of fun with Destiny this year. Hopefully we can keep that going this year. I will be making an effort to get to Worlds this year, at least to hang out. Loved J:FO, Outer Rim, and Mandalorian, which is not a game, but still love it.
We'll allow it.
We'll let it slide. I hope they continue to tell new, interesting stories in the universe. Didn't thank us.
It's to the point.
All right, 2 left.
All right, Mythical Mothman says that he's had a pretty crazy year to look back on. He played a lot of Legion and X-Wing, got new prequel factions for both. He loved Outer Rim and was completely blown away by both Fallen Order and The Mandalorian. both of which he was afraid would just end up being kind of mediocre. Overall, a great year for Star Wars, and we're really in a Star Wars golden age. This must have been before Rise of Skywalker. Predictions. We'll finally see prequel ships announced for Armada, the Venator versus the Lucrehulk, plus Arcs and Vultures. Resolutions. Finally get Armada on the table again.
And our last one of the thing, Cody Man. Maybe he's like Clone Commander, but like chiller.
Cool.
Commander Cody Man. Happy New Year! I had a pretty mild Star Wars gaming year. My old gaming PC's a bit too long in the tooth for a JFO, though I suppose I'll get to it eventually when I can get a new rig. Because of the responsibilities as a parent, haven't been able to do much live gaming, so I mainly use Vassal to play people in X-Wing these days. I'd love to do Legion and Armada, but lack the time, and so live vicariously through the Jodo cast on that front. I still play old Star Wars PC games and belong to a club that still makes new X-Wing Alliance missions based on a fictional plot that takes our successes and failures across various games into account during each play session and advancing the plot.
That sounds amazing.
That sounds really cool. I also enjoy the cooperative Star Wars fiction writing we do. I'm pretty excited for the future, though, as despite the rise of Skywalker, Star Wars has been more fun this past year than in a long time. Looking at you, Mando. Predictions. All I want by next Christmas is the Razor Crest in X-Wing and Baby Yoda crew card. A Spotchkud is... Do we have a translation for that? A Spotchkud up Grief Karga would be pretty cool too.
That was like that was like the drink that they had on the
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Also,
I thought that was a Czech word.
Right. It sounded like kind of a bohemian thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Should you know, Joe?
Grief Karga really Spotchkud that up.
Yeah, no, that was.
I mean,
that
sounds
was,
like
that was the name of the drink drink in the show.
My grandmother would always say "Yemanachka," which I don't know the translation, but it essentially is like "Oy vey" or "Oofta," something like "Yemanachka." Also, all the characters because the show is great, and I want a Bill Burr X-Wing crew card. This might get me on board with Scum and Villainy. Resolutions. My daughter is 5, and that might be slightly young for learning X-Wing, but I've been onboarding her with other board games all year so that we can perhaps start playing a bit of simplified basic X-Wing together. I'd like to perhaps at least make it to a game place to at least watch some Legion live, maybe gift Imperial Salt to myself by Christmas 2020, if it still exists. Well, it might be in some bargain bins by then. Maybe.
Yeah. And they may still just continue to print it and just not make new product. I don't know.
Thanks to all y'all do to keep my head in the realm of Star Wars gaming. You're welcome, Cody Man. Thanks to all of our patrons for writing that out. Love to hear what you guys have been up to in the year and what you're looking forward to. Did we mention that our patrons are pretty sweet?
Yeah, we did that at the beginning.
Okay.
It bears saying again.
Yes. I feel like I want to apologize. I wasn't going to let my Rise of Skywalker negativity seep into this episode. I kind of did. I'm sorry.
Well, you got to hit us with those negative waves so early in the morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, it felt like the pretty normal amount, to be honest.
Okay. Well, maybe it's just, I don't know.
On that note, episode 2, part 2 of Padawan Knight and Master just came out. So, yeah, you can.
I don't know if I have the constitution to listen to the second part. The first part was like comedic because it's all of you guys being very excited and having all these cool predictions. And then being like, it'll just be fun no matter what, except if these very specific things happen. And then
okay, wait. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and I'm just gonna say I finally realized what was up with those tauntauns.
Oh,
I just looked at those.
We didn't address the
tauntauns. It was like, oh, those are pretty. Those are just tauntauns.
We didn't bring it up. We kind of glossed over that.
I get it now.
Wow.
That's something else.
Great.
That's some green stuff, Wunderkind.
They just took one long strip of green stuff and folded it over and just jammed it right on.
What? So, we all know what a tauntaun sounds like. What do you think a tauntaun sounds like when it's ready? Happy New Year!
Oh my gosh. Yes, we'll end the episode there. Now it has to stay in. I can't just cut that out.
No.
Well, that is, earlier in the episode, I said we turned the tables on the patron chat and made them uncomfortable, but it turned it right back around before this episode was over.
Boy, they did. Well, there you go,
I
folks.
really do like that. So, like, the last, 30 seconds to minute of our episode, there's going to be only, a couple people who actually know what we're talking about, really.
You know what? If they become patrons at patreon.com/thejodocast, they can find out.
Well, now you've just moved our ending.
Or if I stop recording right now, the ending is going to have to be then.
Goodbye!